Alright everyone, the other day Biden made his most amazing gaffe yet. Link in the description. It's not archived because it's a video clip. He was speaking about guns. Now, he made a separate gaffe where he says creepy shit to a 12-year-old in the audience, or someone who I guess was 12, a Minecraft YouTuber, if I'm recalling correctly. And that's just really weird. I'll cover that separately. I'll talk about that in the live stream today or something, because there's a whole lot to process there. Can't even be a one-off video. This one, though, is more meaningful with regards to being a typical Biden gaffe related to actual policy, so I decided to cover this one instead. Watch this video. Joe Biden says, "What the hell do you need an assault rifle for? Assault rifles are for defending people and defending America." Now, the intonation, of course, what he means is that they're for the military. The military is supposed to defend America, so only they should have AR-15s. They don't use them in the U.S. military, but, you know, if someone's going to use them, it should be the soldiers. Let's give them non-select fire weapons and see what happens. The thing is, though, if you look at the Second Amendment, and certainly the elaboration upon its meaning in the Federalist Papers, by literally everyone that was alive in the late 1700s, the concept of defending America was never at that time even meant to involve a standing army. Even proponents of creating a standing military force never once in a million years would have suspected that the militia, which is largely the civilian population, the organized militia, of course, reserve forces, the rest of the militia that is not, semi-standing, that's not mustering immediately, is the entire civilian population, which has obtained the age of majority, and neither criminal lunatics nor incapable of utilizing a weapon. So someone who is severely mentally stunted cannot use a weapon as part of the militia. They're typically not going to be voting either. There's a reason for this. The militia is everyone, therefore, today that's 18 or above, that's not a violent felon. I don't think the founders would have had a problem with non-violent felons, tax cheats or whatever, owning guns either, by the way. There is a Bruin-related decision in the Fifth Circuit that asserts this fact. This will move before SCOTUS. I'm sure it'll be appealed. I think the Supreme Court will side generally with the idea of non-violent felons owning firearms, which is good. That's the right decision to make. Absolutely nobody. There is not one jot or tittle of literature from that period of time up until the Cruikshank era. So we're talking post-Civil War. So there's no long historical tradition, a la Bruin, to support any form of gun control really in the United States, other than keeping it out of the hands of lunatics or the very young. That was the whole point. The whole point was the civilian population owning military weapons. Some of the founders remarked upon, for example, civilian ships and their ability to maintain cannons. They said, yeah, that's fine. Of course they should have cannons. What the hell are you supposed to do if a pirate shows up? And by the way, that was the only meaningful debate at the time over weapons ownership, was cannons on civilian vessels. And it roughly mimics, by the way, the modern debate over firearms. It's basically the same thing. Then the idea that the founders put forward is very similar to one of the points that is made by proponents of the Second Amendment today. Oh, well, the police will respond in 20 minutes if there's a burglary. I can respond in 2 seconds. I think that I'll own a gun. And they pointed out succinctly and very correctly, if you're out at sea on your civilian vessel, you're trading spices to France or something, and pirates show up, or some foreign, vessel is going to try to press your men into service. The British were doing this for decades after the Revolution, by the way, vexing the New Englanders and helping lead to the War of 1812. Just to be clear about the socio-political position there that the British took at the time, because they needed a lot of naval power. There is no other ship. The U.S. Navy can't save you. There was no Navy incepted really at the time. The U.S. quickly built a very small force to run along its own coasts mainly, later getting involved with attacking centers of piracy and slavery and so forth later. But your vessel had to stand on its own. You're 200 miles away from the nearest ship other than the one that's trying to board you, so you had to have cannons. But Biden's gaffe is really telling, because while he was clearly trying to make a point about only the military needing to have and need is a big thing that the liberals put forward in this argument. It's really cringe and really funny. Only they needed to have military-style weapons. The problem is that because Biden is so bad at explaining things, he intones instead that these weapons are meant to protect freedom and democracy of the United States way of life. Well, you just made a great point for the NRA that you then immediately turn around and say, well, I fought him before and won, and we'll fight him again and win. Well, you lost with the Bruin decision. Most federal level gun control is going to go the way of the dinosaur over the next couple of years based on that, because you're not going to be able to find any long-standing U.S. tradition prior to the mid-1800s that props, so almost the first century of the United States existing, that props up any gun control whatsoever. I wish that more plaintiffs against the states would bring up Federalist paper writings. Now, it's legally permissible now to do so because of the Bruin decision. I wish also, and maybe some clanker can get me a DM on Twitter or even comment here on YouTube, is there some pending litigation in the state of Vermont against the Vermont State Supreme Court decision that allows Phil Scott's sweeping gun control? Because one of the things that vexes me the most about Vermont politics was that he got in there partially on a platform. I voted for him in his first run, clearly not since then, against Sue Minter. And Minter was literally funded by Michael Bloomberg to push his gun control agenda in Vermont, which would have involved basically the same things that Phil Scott later passed after a school shooting that didn't even happen in the state of Vermont as a pig-in-a-poke politics moment. The only recension was that instead of a 10-round limit on magazines, they extended it to 15 for handguns, because otherwise half the handguns in the states would have become immediately illegal, and that would have been a logistical problem. And no ban on assault-style weapons, which makes sense since there's literally no such thing on the civilian market. Oh my God, the gun is polymer. It's black and shiny instead of with a wood stock. Oh my God, it takes a magazine like many weapons with wood stocks do. Oh my God, it's got a pistol grip. This clearly makes it far more deadly. Really, the logic doesn't really follow, but okay. Yeah, all right. The U.S. military needs to use the AR-15 platform. It would be funny if they gave AR-15s to the troops and they could say, well, you're allowed to customize them all you want. You'd see the derpiest ass fucking builds possible, I'm sure, that if you gave them full reign to do so. And they get into an actual war zone, they realize, oh shit, I don't have select fire and I've got all these attachments on the weapon weighing me down, and why the fuck did I have to put all of these things on my gun? Mommy, it would be a problem. Keep giving them their actual battle rifles because the AR-15 ain't it. Steward Biden keeps having this problem. And he's not the only politician, by the way, to have this issue, where he's got a point to make. I mean, it's red meat to the base. I don't accept his argument. Oh, the military only should have weapons of war because they're the ones that should go to war. I would counter by saying there's war on the streets of some cities in the United States already. If anything, we should arm the entire civilian population there, pass nationwide stand your ground and castle doctrine, and watch as the crime rate comes down precipitously. What the justice system is not capable of doing clearly, and police are clearly not willing or able in some cases to do, the civilian population will. You won't have a lot of burglars when every single house on the street has a firearm in the home, because the burglar doesn't want to get shot. If they know they can get shot and then there will be no repercussions for their would-be victim, that will stop really quickly. Nationwide concealed carry, I don't think there will be as many muggings. I think the crack dealer who already has his piece from the back of a sketchy van in an alley somewhere will be a little bit more cautious about where he peddles and who he peddles to, because he doesn't want to get rolled for his coke or get in trouble by the parents of the 15-year-old he just sold fentanyl to. Steward Biden's gaffe here is pretty great. It'll be used as a talking point. I think that the Republicans should cut that piece out and put it in ads running against Joe Biden in states that are generally gun-friendly. Dovetail it in with the Bruin decision and encourage people to litigate, because it's about time that the Second Amendment was restored. Biden apparently agrees. Assault weapons are for defending people, for defending the America. Well then, let's all get in on the defense. Everyone should own a couple sporting rifles. That's about all. Peace out.